But it took a young man to share a vision that he caught and absolutely transformed not just my life, but the lives of tens of thousands of individuals. Nobody moved, nobody gets hurt. But ladies and gentlemen, when you realize that the information that you're going to hear over the next 2 days will magnify and personify everything that's within you, you just gotta be ready for your success. Who's ready? This is our time, and I see diamonds over here. I see diamonds over there. I see diamonds over here. I see diamonds everywhere. But the first thing you've got to do is what? I mean, my sponsor said it over and over and over. He said, believe. Can anybody believe? Can you believe? Seeing someone go from rags, I mean, $600,000 in debt sounds like rags, doesn't it? Okay, if that doesn't get you, let's add another twist to it. Can we add another twist? All right. $600,000 in debt and sleeping on your ex-wife's couch. Drink coffee. When they said coffee, and they said it like this, coffee. I'm from New York, I listen for coffee. Coffee. And I said no. But ladies and gentlemen, what the vision was just a little under 5 years ago.
100% participation. Anybody who's not participating, I've got security, I've got the see this camera right here. I won't out. We're going to get them out and replace them with somebody who's waiting outside to get in here. There's a man in the chair. Alright? So if you sit down right now, you're in jeopardy of losing your seat. Alright? So let's start it from the top. All I do is win. Let's give it up to everybody that got the recognition today. We can do recognition with big hands. Awesome. We're extremely excited to be here. And man, we've got the second half of today. You thought the first half was incredible. The second half is going to be absolutely fantastic. How many of you are ready for the second half of the event? How many want to go get something to eat first? You want us to keep going? Some of them are like, no, we need to eat now. No, we're gonna actually go to lunch here for about an hour. I think we're doing an hour and a half lunch.
So it's, love me like this. Let's give it up for all these diamonds, guys. Somebody need it. Yeah, I don't want to drop it now. Man, this is serious here. Hold that. All right, guys, listen. You see the furniture right here? How many of you can see the furniture? When we come back from lunch, we're going to have some superstar millionaires. We're going to have some superstar blue diamonds.
Graduated working around the world. And then I got a call. I'm an only child. And I got a call that my mom was dying. And I had to come back and take care of my mom because I knew that I had to be that strong lady that she had raised. And she's my wife. I don't know what's your wife. It's not the money, it's something bigger than you. It can't be something materialistic, it has to be something that fires you up. Because when it gets tough, you have to keep going. It's not easy going, Diamond. It's not an easy walk. You see, some of you quit because you don't have a big why. You see, Mr. Holzenbach says, if your why doesn't make you cry, then you don't have a big enough why. You see, I slept in the hospital. And in the process, my grandmother, my other mother, was diagnosed with brain cancer. So I had to sleep in the hospital between my mom and my grandmothers. But no one knew, because I believed in God. That's the second thing. You have to say, all things are possible for God who strengthens me. God is my strength. And if you don't believe it, I had no water. Our rent was 6 months behind. 6 months behind, sleeping in the hospital. And then my dad, who's my sponsor, thank you, Dad, I love you. Thank you for being unselfish and letting me build the business first. Thank you so much. You see, once you believe, you have to make a decision. And that decision is to survive. You see, my mom made a decision that she was going to live, even though the doctors had said that she was going to die. But when you believe and you make that decision that you're going to make it in Organo Gold, no matter what, no matter who dies along the way, I am going to make it. Say, I am going to make it. The thing is that a lot of people are too weak. Don't be weak. Be strong. And your strength comes from God, from the universe. You see, when you make a decision to want something, the universe conspires to give it to you. That's from The Alchemist. Believe. Make the decision to make it and to transform yourself in the process. Because you can't start being the same person and ending the same person. Then that's not a process. And then, in that process, things are going to happen. Like no water. I had no water. But you see, Mr. John Saturas had no water, so I learned that it's okay. My car broke down, smoke came out the man. You see, the moment I made the decision, everything started going wrong. Who has been like that? Right? No money, but you have to be happy, right? So then I had no car, but Mr. John had no car. So what I said to my friends was, listen, I'm going to work with you. Pick me up. You see, you duplicate. And then you make that decision and you follow the best system. You see, this system is the best system in the world because people with experience, with no experience, can be successful. But if you have experience, be humble. because it's already perfect. Just submit yourself to the best system, because it's not a coincidence what's happening. Not a coincidence. And if you have no experience, learn the difference between hearing and listening. To hear is to hear the voice, but to listen is to absorb it and to apply it. You see, when you submit to the system, miracles happen, because you already believed, you already made the decision, and you're already following. And this is what happens when you follow the system. You bring people like my sister, Noelia Erazo, who goes Emerald with no experience. Then she brings her in-laws with no experience who go Emerald. And then God sends us a superstar, Blue Diamonds from Dominican Republic, Julio Ariana Cantera. They bring two diamonds and they have no experience. You see, then they bring two diamonds with no experience, and let me tell you, all of us were under 30, except for the in-laws. No experience. Diego Jackson, only 20 years old, no experience. You think he's like a winner or what? Say with me, I deserve it. I will believe. I will take action. I will follow the 4 steps fast. Because Mr. John said, oh dear, you can't do this slow. This is like a war. Fast or slow. If you do it slow, you die. If you do it fast, you survive faster. And say, I'm in the best company in the world. Say with me. Say with me. I am in the best company in the
This is one of the best feelings that I've had in my life in a long time. There's nothing like being in a place or being where you know you belong. For almost 5 years, I've been working on me. It's just been some stuff I've been going through and getting to this point I'd like to share with you. First of all, I want to thank some very special people in my life. I call them my champions, my heroes, for making this moment even possible and believing in me when I didn't even think I could do it. I want to thank the very first person who even put the idea of network marketing in my mind back in 1998, 1999. Mr. Emmanuel Sucre. Remember when he came in my office and we were talking about him buying a home, and of course being in real estate, they have to show you documentation of all of the stuff of their earnings. And I looked at his statement and I went, wow, what do you do? And he proceeded to tell me he was involved in one of those things. You guys know what I'm talking about? And I knew at that moment that I had to hurriedly get him closed on his house because it was going to be a matter of time before he was going to jail or some other places. Because I just didn't believe in network marketing. Didn't think it could work for me. And so I continued doing real estate. And lo and behold, just a little time after that, another special person came into my life and changed everything. And I didn't know until I met this gentleman and his wife that God has always had his arms wrapped around LG Young. I didn't know for what purpose or for what reason until I met Mr. Holton Buggs. I remember. And I didn't even want to meet you. Through a mutual friend, he was telling me all about this young man and how much success he had created for people and his wife and how they're going to change the lives of thousands of people around the world. He said, Elsie, you got to meet him. And I didn't want to meet you because you were involved in one of those things, Holton. I just didn't want to do it. But God has a way of moving you out the way when you're a little stubborn. And I agreed to meet him, and he and his wife they've been more than friends. They've been just everything to us, me and my family. He's always been there, they've always been there, he's always told me the truth. And I remember when I went diving, and I asked if I could just have 5 seconds of your time, because I knew I had lost your time, and this is what I said to him. And there's a lesson in all of this. I called, he allowed me to call him, and I said, Holton, I just started crying. And I said, I want to thank you so much for leaving me behind. I said, I want to thank you for not taking my phone calls, not answering my text messages. I want to thank you for all those things, because when you limited the access, and then it went on to be no access, I realized there were some lessons that I had to learn. I realized that I had the choice, I had the power to become who you and Miss Early Bugs knew I could become, but I just wasn't doing it. But I love you guys so much that I had to do it. I did not recognize you guys. So I made the decision that I had to change everything about me. I made a decision I was going to lose weight. I've lost almost 50 pounds. I made a decision that I was going to be personal development. So I get up in the morning. I study. I listen to CDs. My library is so big now, Holton, you'd be proud of me. From 6 to 9 every day, I was working on me. And I kept working on me. And I remember sitting early and Holton some new pictures showing the new me. And he woke back and said, wow. Because I knew that my purpose was bigger than where I was mentally at that time. And I just needed to go and do what God created me to do. And that was to become a blessing to not thousands of people, but millions around the world. Thank you for always being there. Thank you for never judging me. And thank you for loving me and my family. And my son is here. Scooter. Well, my story now, I guess. Man. Before OG, my family and I had done exceptionally well in real estate. Probably half you guys in here have sold homes too. And we were living an incredible lifestyle. Very incredible lifestyle. My kids never wanted for anything. We had custom homes, businesses, and all of that. And how many people know that things can change? Well, in 2007, things began to change a lot for us. And by 2008, guys, we were completely broke. We lost all of our businesses. We had 3 businesses. We lost our homes. We lost our cars. And we found ourselves living in a U-Haul truck. Has anybody ever had to do that before? Now, I was in my late 40s at that time. And I had worked very, very hard in real estate for a very long time. We'd earned millions of dollars doing that. And it was like the twinkle of an eye, and it was all gone. I remember Mr. Bucks telling me when he first met me about something called residual income. I didn't understand it, I didn't have it, and it kept popping up in my mind while me and my family, we were living in this U-Haul truck. And my son at that time, Scooter Young, he's out there somewhere, he was very, very sick. He lost 40 pounds suddenly from a condition that the doctors diagnosed him with. So we were dealing with that, not having any money to provide for any medical support for him. And my wife was on my back big time, guys, because we went from living an incredible lifestyle now to being completely embarrassed and being ridiculed and just being humble like you would not believe, living in a U-Haul truck with no money, nothing. I was too embarrassed to call Holton and Early Bucks. I could have called them, but they did not remember, they would not have remembered me like that, and I just didn't do it. And I know that they would have helped me, but I just couldn't humble myself enough to ask you for that kind of help. So I just endured, and I did what most people do, I prayed. I was raised by my grandmother who had a 4th grade education, and she used to always make me do some things I didn't want to do. But she knew at some point in my life that I would need to call on something greater than myself to pull me through a situation. She used to make me go to church on Wednesday, 3 times on Sunday. I would have to sit there and read the good book with her. She said, you're going to need it one day. I said, but my friends are outside playing, and that's where I want to be. No, you got to do this. And it was all of the teachings and the lessons she had given me that came back later on in my life when I was at that point in my life where I needed some help. that got me through that moment, and I began to pray. And all of a sudden, the doors just opened, and Mr. Holton Buggs called me on one of my old phones that just had a few minutes on it. He said, you need to get over to my house. Burley and I are about to launch the biggest project of our lifetime. We want you to be involved. Come on over. I was too embarrassed to tell him how I was living. He had probably heard some parts of the story. I was too embarrassed to tell him I no longer had the nice fancy cars. And I was too embarrassed to tell him that we were moving in from a U-Haul truck into an empty house that was uninhabitable, had no running water, had mold, it was mold infested, no carpet in there, no AC at all. But I had been praying for something, and he was the only one. You were the only one, Holton, still willing to help me. That's why I dug down in my sofa, and I was looking for change. And I went next door and I told the neighbor, I know you don't know me, but I need your car. I need it right now. A friend of mine just called me. They're launching the biggest project of their life. I don't have anything, but I dug down in my sofa and I was looking for change, and I came in with about $10 worth of change. I put that in the car and I went over to your house, and we were in your house and you started talking real crazy about coffee. I said, no, my son was with me. I was listening to you, Holton, out of respect, but I wasn't really there. I was physically there, but mentally, brother, I was gone. But my son was there to sit, and then Holton offered some coffee. My son drank the lattes called 4-in-1 back then, and he was having some different stuff happening in his body, all right, that was making him feel really good, Mr. Shane Moran, about the product. And I remember early, called Holton for something. He stepped away for just a quick moment. I'm sitting there on your sofa, the one I bought from you, that big, that custom sofa. And we're sitting there, you're drawing out the plan, you're talking about where the vision of the company, where it's going to be, and you step away, and I'm sitting there with my son who's sick. And my son looks up and says, Dad, I can tell you're not really interested in what's going on here. He says, I can tell. I didn't know he had been listening. He had on this hoodie, he had his head down. He says, Dad, I want to give you 3 reasons why we must do this business. And this is what he said to me. And I don't think I've ever told you the rest of the story, but I'm going to share it with you now. He says, Dad, we've got to do this business. And I said, well, why? He says, Dad, number one, Mr. Shane, you're going to appreciate this. He says, Dad, this product is going to help a lot of people because it's helping me right now. He says, Dad, this product, I don't know what's going to cost, but it's going to help a lot of people because it's helping me right now. And I'm telling you guys, he was on prednisone, steroids, all kind of stuff. It was messing his body up. Nothing was working. And he drank 1 cup of this coffee, Shane, his energy went through the roof. He says, Dad, I don't know what's in here, but it's going to help a lot of people because it's helping me right now. I said, okay. He said, Dad, the second reason why we got to do this business, I know we've lost everything. We don't have our BMWs no more. We don't have our Mercedes no more. We don't have our custom home no more. We don't have no money in the bank no more. But Dad, we don't have any friends anymore. But Dad, I want you to know the second reason why we must do this business is because, Dad, I still believe in you, and I still love you. Dad, the third reason we got to do this business, we've got some people who have never lied to us. They've always told us the truth. They've always been there for us, no matter what, always. He says, Dad, we don't know anything about this business, but we can win.
That 3-way call was another event with Miss Savant and Mr. Monetier. Since you guys had enough information from that point and were intrigued, you guys went to another event, which was this weekend. So now you guys have enough information to find out whether you're going to get started or not. So you want to keep on doing that over and over and over again, and you want to promote for these events because the more people that you have in your group, the more money you'll end up earning. But once you hit certain levels like Diamond, your income is secure forever. So that's the reason why we go so hard for it. But like now, I'm looking towards Vegas. Vegas is in October. So I'm looking at, okay, how many people do I need to have in Vegas? What type of person am I going to have in Vegas? What's going to be my screening process for the people that I'm bringing to Vegas? Because the worst thing is for people to think that you need them And you really don't. You're trying to help them. You're trying to expose them to something that can end up enhancing them, and they don't appreciate it. Where you also kind of could have been concentrating on someone else instead of you giving your energy to that person. So I'm learning a lot about that. So that's a great thing. That's a great thing. I know we're going to be diamond come October.